Day 89. Amidst the many torn missing people leaflets, a family cautiously tiptoes barefoot through a ghost town's vacant shop. Evelyn Abbott, the family's mother, painstakingly sorts through a stack of uncollected prescription bottles for her ailing eldest son, Marcus. Evelyn administers medication to Marcus and uses sign language to persuade her deaf daughter, Reagan, that her brother is okay. Reagan then goes to check on her younger brother, Beau, who is sketching a rocket on the floor. "Rocket," he says to Reagan. "That's how we'll get away," he says. Before climbing the nearly empty shelves and reaching for a space shuttle toy, the toy falls off the shelf, but Reagan grabs it before it hits the floor. Meanwhile, Lee Abbott, the family's father, has gathered some electronics for a radio that would amplify its signal, as well as some cutting pliers for Reagan. Evelyn signals to her family, "It'll be dark soon," and they prepare to go when horrified expressions cover their features. Beau is holding the electronic space shuttle toy, which Lee carefully removes from him after removing its 2 AA batteries. He tells his youngest kid, "It's too loud." As the family leaves, Reagan sneaks the toy back to Beau, who then takes the batteries with him. The Abbotts go softly back home on a sand track they've made. They approach a pedestrian bridge. They are startled to hear the electronic sound of a space shuttle toy coming from Beau, who is hauling up the rear. Lee, terrified, rushes back to his son, but it's too late. An extraterrestrial thing seizes and murders Beau. Day 472. The Abbotts have returned to their family property. Lee is in the farmhouse's basement, where he has built up a comprehensive monitoring system of cameras and monitors, as well as his radio and gadgets, in the hopes of reaching any other survivors. There are also a slew of news pieces about an alien invasion, as well as notes from Lee that include blind, attack sound, and armor. Meanwhile, Evelyn is expecting a child. She erects an oxygen tank that is linked to a baby-breathing mask. It's next to a soundproof, covered infant crib. Lee has climbed to the top of his grain silo and is looking through photos of Beau. Evelyn requests that Reagan inform her father that supper is ready, which she does grudgingly. They eat peaceful dishes on lettuce leaves instead of plates after silent meditation. Following that, Reagan and Marcus play Monopoly until he accidentally knocks over a lamp, igniting the rug. Lee swiftly disposes of it, and they wait silently for the results. They appear to have escaped with their lives when they hear a tremendous commotion on the roof. Lee glances out the window and sees a raccoon fall from the roof, which surprises yet relieves him. He goes downstairs to work on a cochlear implant processor that will help his daughter hear. Evelyn appears, and they exchange a smile and a pair of ear buds as they slow dance to Neil Young's Harvest Moon. Day 473. Evelyn is in the cellar monitoring her blood pressure while Lee pours more sand on their walking pathways. Her due date is only a few weeks away. She listens to her abdomen with a stethoscope, which reveals a strong, robust heartbeat. Reagan enters the home, taking care to step only on the indicated areas of the floor that do not creak, and wishes to go down into the basement, but her father stops her. He has connected little stereo amplifiers to her new cochlear implant processor and wants to place them on Reagan, but she stops him and signs that they never function. Lee, discouraged, delivers them to her instead and sets out on an adventure. He asks Marcus to accompany him, but the youngster is afraid and refuses to go. Instead, Reagan wants to go, but Lee encourages her to stay and care for her mom. She dashes into her room to test the new cochlear implant processor. She is distraught when they do not work. Reagan departs the property after packing a bag containing her cutting tools and a wrap thing from her dresser. Lee has taken his son to the river and taught him that creating minor noises is acceptable as long as stronger ones are nearby. They may easily converse to one another next to a waterfall without worry of being overheard. Reagan has arrived at the pedestrian bridge where a makeshift monument for Beau has been created. She takes the thing from her drawer, which we later realize is a space shuttle toy, and uses the pliers to break a wire, allowing the toy to light up without making any noise. Back at home, Evelyn is hauling a YSH bag up the stairs from the basement when it becomes entangled on the stairwell. She manages to rip it free, forcing her to tumble and revealing the tip of a nail protruding from the stairwell. On their walk back home, Lee and Marcus are surprised to see an old man emerge from the woods, followed by the lifeless body of his wife on the ground nearby. Lee begs the elderly man to be silent, but he responds with a primal scream. Lee seizes Marcus and flees as the guy is immediately captured and slain by an extraterrestrial. Evelyn's water breaks at home. She walks down to the basement and trips over an exposed nail sticking up from the stairwell. She doesn't scream, but she drops the picture frames she was holding. Attracting an extraterrestrial inside the house, Evelyn removes her foot from the nail, turns on the red light bulbs that run throughout the property as a warning signal, and explores the shelves for a mechanical kitchen timer. The alien quietly descends the steps into the basement, searching for signs of life. Evelyn runs upstairs. The alien assaults it when the timer goes off. In the front yard, she notices another extraterrestrial. Evelyn enters the bathroom and sinks into the tub. As the alien enters the room, she begins to give birth. Lee has arrived home and is shocked to discover that the red lights have been turned on. He writes "rocket" for his son. Then he tells him, "I need you to make a louder sound." Marcus races to a preset spot and ignites a fuse, setting off a sequence of fireworks. Lee takes his shotgun. Lee investigates the home and enters the bathroom, where he discovers an empty bathtub stained with his wife's blood. He begins to cry, fearing Evelyn is dead, only to discover that she is alive and well, hiding in the shower with their new baby son. Meanwhile, Marcus is going back toward his house when he hears an extraterrestrial. He makes a break for it towards the cornfield, but he collides with a tractor wheel, knocking himself out. Reagan has arrived home and observes Marcus' torch beam emerging from the cornfield, but she cannot hear the alien approaching behind her. As the alien gets closer, Reagan's cochlear implant processor begins to produce high-pitched feedback, which irritates the alien and causes it to flee. When Reagan discovers Marcus, they escape to the top of the grain silo. Lee has brought Evelyn down to the cellar and deposited his new son in the soundproof cot. Evelyn thinks about Beau and regrets not carrying him on that fatal day, then, before falling asleep, has Lee vow to safeguard their children. As we witness water gushing down into the cellar, Lee departs to hunt for the kids. Evelyn awakens later to find the cellar flooded. On top of that, an extraterrestrial has descended into the room, and the infant is asleep in the soundproof crib with the top open. Evelyn delicately takes up her infant and slinks to the cellar's rear wall, beneath the waterfall that floods the chamber. A hatch on the top of the silo suddenly cracks, sending Marcus to plunge inside. The alien in the cellar with Evelyn is attracted out by the commotion as he slowly drowns in the grain. The hatch disintegrates fully and crashes into the silo, just missing Marcus. Reagan goes into the silo and saves her brother by pushing the hatch towards him so he can get hold of it. She, on the other hand, soon sinks into the grain. Marcus scales the hatch and brings his sister to safety. Reagan and Marcus are both securely seated on the silo entrance when they hear a crash. As the youngsters hide themselves with the hatch door, the alien from the flooded cellar jumps into the silo. They appear to be doomed until Reagan's cochlear implant processor emits searing feedback, prompting the alien to fall through the silo's side. Reagan and Marcus make their way from the silo to a pickup vehicle. Lee arrives and gets an axe, but is swiftly assaulted by the alien, causing Marcus to scream. When the alien hears this, he rushes to the vehicle and begins ripping it apart. When Reagan's processor begins to emit piercing feedback, she shuts it off. The alien may now safely renew its assault on the vehicle. Lee, who is severely hurt, looks at his daughter and signs, "I love you. I've always loved you." He then yells to sacrifice himself in order to save the children. They shift the truck into neutral and return to the house to reconcile with their mother. When Evelyn and the kids hear the alien approaching, they rush back inside and down to the basement. Reagan, who was never permitted down there, sees, for the first time, the proof of her father's efforts in repairing and building her cochlear implant processor. She is overcome with emotion as the lights start to flicker. The alien enters the basement and surrounds them. Reagan, on the other hand, studies a scribbled scribble from her father that reads, "What is their weakness?" before taking a short peek at the hearing aids on his workstation. She activates her cochlear implant processor, which generates feedback and causes the alien to shiver. The feedback is then amplified by Reagan by bringing the processor up to a microphone. Evelyn grabs Lee's shotgun and smashes the alien's skull to shreds as it collapses and slowly staggers back to its feet. When they observe on the security monitors that their small squabble has seemingly drawn every alien in the county to their house, Reagan cranks up the music and Evelyn pumps the shotgun with a sardonic smirk on her face.